There are 22 classes to choose from when picking a character in Pathfinder 2e. As such, it can be difficult to come up with what class you want to play, especially as a new player. So today, I'm going to be covering the pros and cons of every single core class in Pathfinder 2e. Let's dive in. So for today's video, I'm only going to go over the 12 core classes, the ones that are in the core rulebook. I'm going to start with one that isn't built for players who have never played role-playing games. The Alchemist. The great thing about Alchemists is that they're very versatile no matter what subclass you end up picking. You are going to be better at a certain type of alchemical item depending on your subclass. However, that does not mean you can't make other items. Alchemists have poisons and bombs to debuff opponents. They have elixirs of life to heal party members. They can do almost every type of damage in the game, and they can even buff allies with elixirs and mutagens. Alchemists can make all these items no matter what subclass they pick. But like all classes on this list, they do come with their downsides. They are very complicated to play, especially as a new player. But if you played any type of prepared spellcaster in another system, you're probably going to be okay with picking up an Alchemist. Also, Alchemists don't have great attack bonuses, and they rely heavily on the debuffs and buffs that their alchemical items give them in order to be effective. The best way to play an Alchemist is to be handing out your alchemical items to party members that can use them more effectively. Of course, you are still going to want to keep some alchemical items so you can be effective, but your party will be glad to have you around when you can make them even better at what they're already good at, or shore up their weaknesses. Just remember that mutagens have downsides, so be sure to use them sparingly. Now we come to one that's a little easier to understand, the Barbarian. Barbarians make great grapplers, especially animal instinct barbarians. They also deal fantastic damage and can do different types of damage depending on their instinct. And it's not just their offense either. They have a ton of HP and resistance to certain types of damage depending on their instinct while raging. And finally, they can be great at intimidation if you take the right feats. For downsides, they don't have great AC. You are going to get hit a lot. The superstition instinct can be good in the right party, but the anathema is pretty punishing for most parties. They also can't use concentrate actions while raging, including spellcasting or even intimidation, unless you take the right feats. They're also not going to hit as often as a fighter. And finally, new players may have a hard time understanding the instincts. Now we come to my favorite spellcaster, the Bard. Bards have the occult spell list, which in my opinion is the best teamwork spell list in the game. Like in other systems, the Bard is most definitely a great buffer and debuffer. They can also be in melee combat if built correctly. The occult list has some great cantrips, and bards have access to focus cantrips. So even if the bard runs out of leveled spell slots, they can still be effective. They are also great in and out of combat, especially in social situations, since they're charisma based. And of course, they can wear armor, unlike most spellcasters. However, they are a spontaneous caster, which means they don't have many spells to work with. But the one downside of the occult spell list is that it has almost no damaging spells. And finally, the bard needs other party members to really be effective in melee combat if you build toward that. Champions make great tanks. If they wear armor, then they can have the highest AC in the entire game. They also have really good HP. Good aligned champions can reduce damage on allies. Evil aligned champions have some great fear options, and fear is one of the best debuffs in this entire system. All champions can use shields really well, and champions even have focus spells that don't require any ability score. However, they don't have great offensive capabilities. They're not going to hit as often as other marshals. In addition, most of the time, you're going to be slow. If you're a good aligned champion, you need to be near allies. And if you're an evil champion, you need to be near enemies to be effective. Also, your subclass is going to be alignment based. Also, there are alignment restrictions. You cannot be lawful neutral, chaotic neutral, or true neutral as a champion. The Cleric has the Divine list, which in my opinion is the second best teamwork spell list in the game. They also get extra heal or harm spells depending on their deity. They also can use martial weapons if they're a war priest or if that weapon in question is the favored weapon of their deity. Cloistered Clerics, however, have a much better spell attack roll and DC. But where the Cleric really shines is at healing status conditions and damage. However, just like the Occult list, the Divine list doesn't have many damaging spells. Also, Cloistered Clerics can't wear armor at all. War Priests can wear medium armor, but even they don't have great AC. Thus, you are going to need cover for defense. Lastly, Clerics do need a lot of ability scores to be good. They need Wisdom for their spells, Charisma for extra healing spells or harm spells, Con for HP, and Dexterity for defense, especially if they're a Cloistered Cleric. But if you want a prepared spellcaster that's relatively simple to play, Cleric is for you. If you think that the Druid is just a nature Cleric, you are dead wrong. Druids have the Primal list, and the Primal list is the most versatile list in the entire system. It has buffs, it has debuffs, it has elemental damage, it has healing, it has difficult terrain. Almost anything you want to do with your spells, the Primal list has you covered. This makes the Druid great at working with other classes. Protector Tree in particular works great if you've got a good champion in the party. Also, if you want to be the guy that heals between combats without using spell slots, Druid is for you. Druids don't even need healer's tools to use the medicine skill thanks to the Healing Plaster cantrip. And unlike divine casters, Druids can take godless healing and mortal healing, thus making their non-magical healing even better. However, the Cleric does have more magical healing available per day. Also, Druid spells do tend to fall off at high levels, particularly wild shape spells. Also, because of their innate versatility, Druids are a lot more complicated than Clerics are. And now we come to probably the simplest class that a lot of people are going to want to play, and that is the Fighter. The Fighter is very simple to play. Only the Gunslinger class can hit as much as a Fighter can, but Gunslingers only get that starting accuracy with crossbows and firearms. Fighters get that accuracy with every weapon in the game except advanced weapons. Thus, they can use any weapon available to them effectively. Also, because of this innate accuracy, fighters and gunslingers critically hit more often than any other class. But fighters have a lot more than just damage output on their side. I don't think they're as good at grappling as barbarians, but they have some great athletics options. Fighters can target any of the saving throws that are in Pathfinder 2e. Enemy have a low will save? Intimidate them. Low reflex save? Trip them. And of course, if they have a low fortitude save, then go ahead and grapple them. And there aren't many downsides to playing a fighter either, but there are some. You're not going to have a whole lot of skills, and two of them are probably going to be athletics and intimidation. Or maybe acrobatics instead of athletics if you're that type of fighter. They also, of course, do have the standard fighter weaknesses, such as a low will save. The only other thing I can say for cons when it comes to fighters is that they're only really amazing with one type of weapon until very high level. Don't get me wrong, you're still going to be really good with your other weapons, but you kind of need to specialize in one type of, which honestly is what most people do anyway, but still. Alright guys, I was going to cover all 12 core classes in this video, but you guys seem to like these shorter videos. So I'll do the other 5 core classes and maybe the other classes in other books if this video does well enough. So if you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Pathfinder 2e teamwork content. You can also check out the links in the description below for my Facebook and my Twitter page. But if you really want to support me, You can check out my Patreon page and get some Google Sheets for all my teamwork builds while you're at it. If you want to see more specific tips about these classes, you can check out these videos here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, teamwork is vital.